Hey y'all. Unbreakable here. We've done a couple of these and I've actually really enjoyed them. So I am online having my coffee and chatting with you. If there's something you'd like to chat about, drop it in the comments. Say hello. It is Sunday morning here in Central Time Zone. Many of us just went through the holiday. For a lot of people, it was really hard. A lot of people spent the holiday by themselves. A lot of people spent the holiday with people who they didn't necessarily want to be around. Holidays are hard. And we're coming up on a big one for the whole world. And it's difficult during these times. It's difficult for everyone during these times, let alone survivors or people who have gone through loss, people who are battling with grief, people who are dealing with depression and anxiety. Like, the holidays are really hard. And unfortunately, the unalive rate is much higher during this time. So I'm here online chatting. If you want to chat, if you want to talk about something or just say hello, drop a comment and I will review that. I said it and I'll keep saying it, that Unbreakable and Uplifting is my healing. And so what I found, especially on coming on to these Coffee with Unbreakables, is that y'all continue to help me heal. People bring up topics here that maybe I had forgotten about, or situations that maybe I can relate to that reminds me of just how far I've come. See, interacting with other survivors is imperative for our healing. Listening to other stories, having open, honest, real, raw conversations, it's necessary. I can come on here and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Here's what I'm battling. Here's what I'm struggling with. Here's the thoughts that I'm having. And there are others out there who need to hear that. So I started this series, Coffee with Unbreakable, Let's Chat. Not just for y'all, but for me. I have found since I got out, I oftentimes will get stuck in my head. I'll get stuck reliving something. I'll get stuck questioning, why did you do it that way? Why were you thinking that? I'll get stuck with the self-deprecating thoughts, the shame, the beating myself up emotionally. And so being able to talk that out, being able to process that in a safe environment, it's so necessary. So I started coming on here with y'all. Samantha, the guilt becomes terrible from it all. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Samantha, I went through a lot of guilt when I got out. Here's real, raw, open, and honest. I went through so much guilt when I got out because of how I treated my children when I was in it. That's a topic of conversation not many of us can sit up here and say. It took me time to talk about the damage that my trauma did on my children. See, when we're in the middle of these toxic relationships, we're not at our best. And that's not to put us down. That's not to hold shame over it. It is what it is. We're just not at our best. And when we're not at our best, we're trying to raise our children in that mindset, it does damage on our babies. Not intentionally, but it does. It took me time to sit up here and realize the damage that I had done on my children. And I can sit up here and acknowledge that. I can sit up here and say that I've made amends for that and I am doing things differently and I have the best relationship with my kids that I've ever had. Samantha said, me too. I'm dealing with reconnecting with my daughter because of it. Yep. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Kelly said, when you notice those thoughts, stop and look for circles. It will train your mind to redirect your thoughts and be present. I agree, Kelly. I agree. 100%. I think, though, for a lot of us, that retraining that brain is like the hardest thing to do, especially when we've lived a lifetime being in that mindset. Like I lived a lifetime. My trauma started when I was a child. And so I lived a lifetime of being in that mindset. And being in my 50s, whew, try to rewire that brain. It's difficult. It's absolutely difficult. But with practice, you get better at it. Yeah, so hard, Kelly. I get it. Dale, you are so sweet. I watch you all the time on QVC. I'm not on QVC. Thank you for posting. Love to meet you. Hey, Sophie. Hello from Australia. Sophie, you always stop in and say hello. It's nice to see you, sweetheart. I do recognize people. I do recognize my longtime followers. I do recognize names. I do recognize profiles. Some of you have been with me for the longest time, and I see your names and I see your comments, and I appreciate y'all. Eric said, actually, it's quite simple. I've found I'd be happy to share. Go ahead, share in the comments, Eric. Love to hear it. Always always open to hearing other people's healing journeys. Kelly, staying present is the key. Absolutely. The one thing that my therapist encourages me to practice is like the five senses. And I can never remember which order it goes in, but I don't think it really matters. 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. So, whatever it is, whichever order works for you. And that helps bring you back to present. We forget oftentimes that depression is dealing with the past and anxiety is dealing with the future. And it's so common for us to get caught in those cycles, right? Living in the past. I mean, there's so much there. There's so much to unpack. There's so much to process. There's so much to heal from. And then the anxiety of living in the future because we've always had to be on high alert. Always. We always had to be on high alert. We always had to be prepared for what came next. Okay. If they come home and they're in this mood, I need to make sure that I behave this way. I need to make sure that I say this. If they come home and they're in this mood, all right, I've got to go this route and I've got to go this way. Well, if they come home in this mood, well, then, okay, I need to make sure that I don't say this and I do say that. No wonder so many of us live with anxiety, right? It's conditioning. It's the conditioning that we went through. Whew. And getting out of that mindset is really. I think for me, part of my biggest struggle is that I beat myself up when I'm in those mindsets or when I've been in those mindsets. I realize, okay, I'm in this mindset. And then it's the whole, what's wrong with you? You're not in that place anymore. It's not happening. Like just beating ourselves up. It's tough. It's really tough. Crystal, do you have tips for breaking free of conditioning? Do you mean the conditioning that they put us through, Crystal? If you could clarify, sweetie, I would be happy to try to answer that. Kelly, it's moments by moments go easy. It sure is, sweetie. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Crystal, I'm watching. Crystal, yes. Oh, hold on. Hello from Kenya. Let me go back on comments here. Do you have tips for breaking free of conditioning, the conditioning that they put us through? Crystal, I think some of the biggest tips that I can provide to you is educate yourself. One. And two is continue listening to other survivors speak and share their stories and talk. Because a lot of this conditioning that they program us with is just all false narrative. It's just all false. It's just all lies. It's made up stuff, right? It's a form of control because they have to have control over us emotionally, physically, verbally, psychologically, cognitively. They have to have control over us. And so trying to challenge those belief systems, it takes work. Doing the research to find the truth, on factual stuff. Trying to think of one of the things that the monster had told me factually that I believed. I can't think of any right now. Trying to bring yourself back to the particular moment that you're in, Crystal. Reminding yourself that it's right now. This is right now. This is present moment, present day. I'm right here. Hopefully, you're in a safe situation. But reminding yourself, okay, I'm in a safe situation. I'm not in whatever that is triggering me. I'm not in that particular moment, but our bodies bring us into, no, it's happening right now. It's happening right now, even though it's not. Reminding yourself that you are safe, that it's not happening right this moment, and that you have power and control over your present situation, over your present thought process, and challenge it. I know I did things, behaved certain ways, made certain choices, thought certain thoughts, said certain things after I first got out because that's what I was programmed to do. And with practice, I was able to start recognizing how, okay, this is not beneficial for me, or this isn't the truth, like this isn't reality, or there's a better way, and I am actually allowed to do that. Y'all, help Crystal with tips for breaking free from conditioning. Oops, hold on. Cynthia said, no one has control or owns any other person. You own you. You control your thoughts and your next move. Hmm. I agree, Cynthia. But that's easier said than done. It's easier said than done, especially when you're in the midst of an abusive, controlling, psychologically mind F situation. Eric, that is the eternal now, and when you leave it, busy and mind suffer. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. Oh, sweetie, 2 years no contact. Go, girl. I hope you're healing. Pause a be well for a moment. Much love, Eric. You're welcome, Crystal. Lauren, I'm glad you found yourself here. 2 years no contact, girl. Ooh, happy birthday. Happy anniversary, whatever you want to call it. No contact is hard. It's so hard. I couldn't go 100% no contact right when I first got out because we shared a child. Isn't that fun? If y'all have to have contact with, if y'all have to have contact with the abuser because of custody, practice gray rock. Okay? I had to practice gray rock. I had to learn what gray rock was, first of all. Gray rock. You have to have communication when it comes to the kids, right? And you're never going to have an adult conversation with an abuser or with a narcissist. So what gray rock was child has an appointment on this date at this time. These are the documents that need to be there. Child is with you during that time on your custody period. Here's all the information, and leave it at that. I did that. I remember I did that once, and the abuser popped off with, "You always schedule the appointments on my time." No, I didn't. It's what the doctors schedule. Oftentimes the doctors, you don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and look at the calendar in 6 months when he's due for another dentist appointment or orthodontist appointment at that point. I'm not going to look at the calendar and try to figure out which week is yours and which week is mine. The orthodontist said, "Here's your next appointment. Here's when he needs to be here." Great. Okay. And they'll try everything. "Oh God, you always schedule the appointments on my time. You need to cancel the appointment." And I would respond with gray rock. "We can certainly cancel the appointment. Here's the next available appointment. Would you like that scheduled to then?" Or, "Dentist doesn't have another appointment available for the next month. What would you like to do?" That's it. Gray rock. Information, facts only. Do not engage. Do not engage. No matter what they say, and they will say everything. Do not engage. Crystal, 11 months, no contact for me. Good job. Luann, 3 years and no contact. Like cold turkey. I'm so proud of you. Sela finally got to the point of separation. Unfortunately, it's just that I live in the guest house now, but that's better than living in the main house. Oh, I get it, honey. Do whatever works. Do whatever works. Do whatever works. If that's what works for you, you don't owe an explanation to anyone. You are at least out of the main house. You're at least in a space where you have more control over your peace, where you have more control over your environment, where you have more control over your healing. There's some type of separation there. That's awesome. If that's what works for you right now, sweetheart, or if that's all you can do right now, give yourself credit for that. Crystal, you went cold turkey also. I'm proud of you, honey. Sheila, we own a business together. I am legally disabled and almost totally bedridden. I'm just leading on God right now to get me through all of this. You hang in there, sweetheart. Cynthia, I know it's easier said than done. Believe me, I've been through it all. Crystal, you have to ask yourself what is worse, staying or leaving for my own peace of mind and knowing I'm safe every day. We all have to make our own decisions, y'all. And one decision is not better or worse than the other. We all have to make our own decisions for what works best for us. Sela, I've put up with his abuse and neglect and rejection for 27 years, but I finally caught on to what narcissism is in the last 3 years. I stand up for myself now, so now he's playing the victim. I know. Poor babies. I'm reading a comment, guys, sorry. Eric, yesterday was the end of my year art project. Excuse me. And development ending at this state. It takes time, it does. But it's possible. Chapter 2 began yesterday, and for the first time, I decided my entire being to the service, the others, everyone. For the first time, I feel alive. Good job, Eric. You're welcome, Sela. Sarah, I suffered DV just over 18 years ago now. I was lucky enough to have help and support from a group called the Freedom Project, a 12-week rollover group therapy. I'm in England, UK. I'm a long-time survivor, and I'm here to help others in life go through the very dark tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, there is, Sarah. Sarah, and anyone else, all of y'all, there's a movie out there. I had the honor of interviewing Sam Beckinsale. She is a UK actress. Her sister is Kate Beckinsale, who is a US actress. But I had the honor of interviewing Sam Beckinsale last year before, I don't recall. It's on my feed. And Sam wrote, produced, and starred in a movie called Love, question mark. It's the most powerful movie I've ever seen. And it really brings to light the coercive control. We don't think of, and most of our legal systems do not think of coercive control as abuse. And what coercive control is it's the brainwashing. It's the brainwashing that goes on. When people say, why don't you just leave? They don't understand the brainwashing that has gone on. Why don't you just leave a cult? Well, because you're brainwashed. And these abusers, these narcissists, these toxic people, like, they are talented at brainwashing us and making us believe everything that they tell us. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing, sweetheart. Sela, how refreshing to find someone who understands that you can't always get out of your situation. Thank you. I will continue to follow your channel. Thank you, Sela. It's not. You can't just break free. 7 times. 7 times. There's a poem out there. I believe I have it read on one of my videos or one of my reels. 7 times. 7 times is the average amount of times the domestic violence victims go back. 7 times. It's not easy. It's not easy. And we suffer through all of the, well, if it was that bad, why did you go back? Well, it must not have been that bad because you stayed with them this long. 7 times. The movie is called Love with a question mark. Sela, how can I donate to you? I don't see a pay button on this channel on YouTube. Sweetie, I don't have one. I don't have one. I'm not asking for money. You can, on Facebook, we're also streaming on Facebook right now. On Facebook, you can actually send stars. I don't ask for all of that stuff. I do this because this is what I love. I do this because this is my healing. But thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. Known masterpiece, Eric. Known masterpiece by morning and masterpiece by design. Abuse is abuse. Yep. Trauma is transformative. It sure is. Unbreakable. You resonate with all of us who know trauma. We may as well. I don't know what that part says. Trauma knows fellow trauma. We see one another together. Theme, heal the power of we. You inspire me. Be well, friends. Thank you, Eric. That's so sweet of you. Hey, Karen. It's always the brainwashing, always the brainwashing. And I learned in my mid-30s that I was exposed to SRA. So there you go. Yeah. Debbie. Hi, Debbie. 31 years, and I heard lots. Why don't you just leave? I couldn't. I was told he was the only one who could love me. I got out 3 years ago when he passed from cancer. Right before he died, he told me he hated me and wished I was the one dying. Yeah, Debbie. That doesn't mind F on you, doesn't it? It doesn't mind F on you. I hope you're healing, sweetheart. I hope you are. Karen, you're so sweet. Y'all, I have, I don't know, almost 1.7 million followers on this page. It means nothing to me. Okay. The math doesn't math for me because that's not why I'm here. I'm here because this is my healing. This entire page is my healing. And if my voice, if my words, if the posts that I make, if they can help one person, then I will never stop. But in doing this, as long as I've been doing it, I do read comments, to let y'all know. I do read comments. I can't read them all with almost 1.7 million followers. I can't read every single comment, but I do read comments. And I will tell you that I do recognize names. Karen, you've been with me for a while. I don't know Karen. I don't know her personally, but I recognize her name. I recognize her comments. And I'm always grateful to see people who have been with me for some time. So thank you, sweetheart. I'm always glad to see you here. Hold on. Eric, I own 3 verified businesses online and many pages. Live to support a fellow Beacon creator. Awesome. Sela, altruism is a very rare quality and you seem to have it. I value that so much. Thank you, sweetheart. When I got out, there's a post on the page, on the Facebook page. Sela, I invite you to follow us on Facebook. There's a post on the Facebook page, and it came from another survivor who recently shared their story with us. And her story is out on my website, and we've posted several of her quotes. And she had one that blew my mind because I lived it. And she said, I started going to therapy to become a better wife. But after starting therapy, I realized I wasn't failing at marriage. I was being abused. I started therapy when I was still in to be a better wife. To be a better wife, I started therapy. And God love my therapist. You know, you can't You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So she didn't blatantly tell me, you're being abused, because I wasn't ready to hear it. But when the marriage finally broke up, I was so lost. Sela, I was so lost. I was devastated. And still getting better. I thought I was the crazy one. I thought, what is wrong with you? You couldn't even keep your marriage together. Everything that he told you must be right. You're a worthless human being. You're a horrible wife. Like, I believed all of that. All of it. He told me I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. Told me that I would never have had anything if it weren't for him, and I wouldn't survive without him. Mind you, he's the one who left me. But I believed all of these things. And I fell into such a deep depression. I actually had a plan to take my own life. And I thought I was alone. I didn't understand abuse. I didn't even know the word narcissist. I just knew that I felt crazy and I felt alone. And that something was wrong with me. And that I couldn't keep my marriage together. I couldn't fix my marriage. And so I started Unbreakable and Uplifting here on Facebook for myself. Words that I needed to hear, words that started to kind of click. It's like, well, wait a minute. Wait, you mean it wasn't me? Like this wasn't all my fault? Wait, he said that. You mean that's not true? Like, that's how Unbreakable and Uplifting started. And I remember just feeling so alone. And so in I think it was 21, I decided to come and face the world like this and start sharing my story, because I can't be the only one. Like, there's no way that what I went through is so special and so unique that I'm the only one. And so I continue to come on here. I continue to run this page. I continue to run these platforms because I don't want people to feel the way that I did. Because I know how dark it is when we get out, or when we're in it. I know how dark it is. And if my words can help shed just the smallest of light for someone else, so they don't have to feel what I feel or what I felt, I have to do it. I have to do it. Thank you, Sela. Sela, the name of my website is unbreakableanduplifting.com. And the movie that I recommend is Love, with a question mark after it. If you look up Sam Beckinsale. Karen, you're most welcome. I'm so sorry for everything that you've gone through. I don't know how long I've been on this page, but it's good to be here to meet everybody. Glad we have you. Sela, oh man, you hit the nail on the head. I've been accused of being a lousy wife. Yep. I went back and really looked it over and realized that I was an excellent wife in every way. Very traditional, old fashioned. I know. Ugh. Truly unbreakable and uplifting. Thank you, Eric. You are tuning, Sela, you are tuning into what place in my head constantly that I have to fight. So many of us are empathetic. Yep. Sela, you're telling my story. Thank you. I'm in tears right now, but these are healing tears just to hear someone's voice. How it felt for so long. God, I know. We felt so alone. Oh God, y'all. I think we can all attest to that. We felt so alone. One of the last Coffee with Unbreakables that I did last week, something like that. I am actually editing, and I've dropped several short videos from that on the feed. And one of the things that I talked about was how I thought I was so crazy. I thought I was so alone. I thought, ugh, that everything that they said about me was true. I thought that I was such a terrible wife. I was a terrible mother. I was a terrible human being. The monster is a drug addict, an alcoholic, a porn addict. And so oftentimes when we were still together, he associated with like-minded individuals. And he took us one day to a friend's house. And this friend was doing drugs right there in front of me and my young child. Right there. I don't do drugs. And afterwards I told the monster that I didn't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. That my child's right there and this person's children are right there. Like, I don't agree with that. It's my opinion, my feeling. That's how I felt. So it's valid for me. Told me that I thought that I was better than everyone else. Because I tried to set a boundary. I think I'm better than everyone else. It's laughable now. It wasn't laughable then. But because I tried to set a boundary, that's perceived as me thinking I'm better than everyone else. But I fell for it. I believed it. I believed that that's what he said. So I needed to lower my standards and allow things around me that I wouldn't normally allow. Brainwashing. Brainwashing. It's crazy. Karen, I was told that before I left home, I didn't need a partner. I needed a maid. Oh, sweetie, you know I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the BS that they come up with. I got told, I don't know how many times, I got told, go find some other D male genitalia who will put up with your shh. That's what I got told. Yeah, I remember that one. Sela, he has told me that I am unlovable. He has told me that I am not photogenic. He has told me that I'm not sexy. He has told me that he doesn't like the sound of my voice, and it goes on and on. Oh, Sela. Oh, yeah, honey. Oh, honey. And you know what? Let me tell you something. Every one of those things that he told you, you are. But he's telling you those things so that you believe that you're not, so that he can keep you under his control. Sheila, I want you to go back and reread that comment when we're done here that you just made. He has told me that I am unlovable. He has told me that I am not photogenic. He has told me that I am not sexy. He has told me that he doesn't like the sound of my voice. And it goes on and on and on. Sheila, I want you to reread that. Because what those statements are is everything that you are And he's just intimidated by it all. So he realizes that you are lovable, you are photogenic, you are sexy, that you do have a really nice voice. Like, honey, he's intimidated by you. They're just all scared little you-know-whats. Karen, my mother went through mental and emotional abuse and trauma for years. Yep. Yep. Oftentimes we find ourselves in these situations, in these relationships, because it's what was modeled to us, right? My very first abuser was my mother, then my father and stepmother. It was all of my parental figures who were supposed to keep me safe. Those were my first abusers. And so when you're raised that way, and that's all you know, that's what feels like home when we get to be adults and we start getting involved in romantic relationships. That's what feels familiar. That's all we know. It's like I talked about this recently. It's like we are raised speaking one language, whatever that language is. In my case, it was English. I was raised speaking English. I didn't speak any other language all my life. So I'm going to stick close to English. I'm going to stay with what's familiar. This is what I know. I speak English. And it wasn't until many, many years of going to school that I actually became semi-bilingual. Well, what do you mean that there's another language that I can understand? What? I can understand a different language? It's the exact same thing. We're taught this language that's the only language we know. And when we get out, we realize that there's more in the world than just that language. Like this thought process, this mindset that they force us into. You mean that there's something different? We don't get it. See, though, my very first abuser was my mother as well. She tried to suffocate me within 24 hours of my birth. And then when I lived, she just tortured me until I left the house. Sweetie, I get it. Then why would it not make sense that you ended up with an abuser? Like it's all you knew. Angela, I drive everyone away. Do you really, sweetheart? Why? Angela, what do you mean by that, sweetie? You drive everyone away. I think, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, sweetheart, and I'll continue to watch the comments if you'd like to comment further. But I know for me, when I first got out, I did push everyone away. I pushed everyone away. You're angry. Oh, honey. Give me a second. I'm going to come back to that, Angela. I did push everyone away because I didn't want anyone to know what I had gone through. I didn't want anyone to know what I put up with. Like, I didn't want anyone to know how insecure I was. I didn't want anyone to know that I had no self esteem. I didn't want anyone to know anything about the real me because I was ashamed because I didn't even like the real me. So I pushed a lot of people away in that respect, or I kept them, very much at arm's length so that they couldn't know the real me. Angela, you drive everyone away because you're angry. What are you angry about, sweetie? If you were in an abusive relationship, if you were in a toxic relationship, like anger is part of healing. Posted recently that the angry stage is actually my favorite stage. And it received all kinds of different comments, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But for me, the angry stage reminds me how powerful I am. The angry stage reminds me how far I've come. The angry stage reminds me that I do have value and worth, and no one is going to tell me anything different. The angry stage has kept me going during times when I didn't think I could. There's nothing wrong with being angry. It's how we deal with it. Sela, familiarity is dangerous. Yep. Sela said, hugs to the lady who says she drives everyone away. I feel the same way, but I realized that I was over giving. Uh-huh. And when I stopped giving, they left. Uh-huh. I didn't leave them or push them away. Yep. 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 Hi, Smurf. Sometimes it takes time being with ourselves and relearning who we truly are. Lily, you're right. Sela, righteous anger. Sela, reactive abuse. Reactive abuse. Yep. Christina, I'm in one. It's been 19 years, but can't let go. Sweetie, don't beat yourself up over that. If you're talking about that you're in an abusive relationship and you've been there for 19 years, if that's what you're talking about, honey, give yourself grace. Good Lord, be gentle with yourself. Give yourself compassion. Try your best to focus on yourself. Take care of you. The fact that you are here on my page right now, that says a lot. Because that's you trying to find something, trying to find healing, trying to find understanding, trying to educate yourself, whatever it is, whatever brought you to my page. Like, that's a huge step. Okay, so don't beat yourself up, Christina. That's a huge step that you're here right now watching me rattle on. It's huge, honey. Keep reaching out, keep watching. Eric, you are a beacon to the broken. You speak our language. Thank you, sweetheart. Angela, you're welcome. Oh, Christina, I want to come back to you. I was with my most recent abuser for 15 years. 15 years. Back and forth, in and out, in and out. I don't know how many times I left and went back. More than 7. But I kept going back. And this is me speaking about me. I kept going back because I believed at least somebody loves me. At least there's somebody out there who loves me. Because I just knew that I was unlovable. I had been told it all my life. And so at least if I stayed with the abuser, at least there was somebody who loved me. At least I got some sort of affection and attention. At least there was that. Because if I left the abuser or the abuser left me, nobody was ever going to love me. Because I wasn't good enough. I didn't deserve it. I had been told this all my life. I did not deserve good things. I did not deserve kindness. I did not deserve loyalty. I didn't deserve any of it. So I stayed. I kept going back because this is as good as it gets. This is as good as it's going to be. And I just need to accept that this is all that I'm going to have in this world because I'm unlovable. Because I don't deserve anything more. Even when I first got out. And again, the abuser left me. Even when I first got out, it's whew, it took time to undo those thoughts. It took compassion for myself to reprogram. It took being away to recognize and to ask myself, what were you holding on to? Like, that's what you were holding on to? Christina, it took writing the pros and the cons. And every one of the pros, I'm not alone, but I was. At least someone loves me. Do they? I'm not doing life by myself. Aren't you? Like every one of the pros were lies that I was telling myself. And then the cons side of the list, it has never stopped. It has never stopped. And sweetie, you'll get to your own space and place when you're ready. You're not on anyone else's timeline. Your timeline is going to be different than mine, and mine's going to be different than someone else. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the choices that you make when you're trying to deal with this type of toxic situation. So please give yourself some compassion. Debbie, everything you say, it sounds like my life. My mother was my abuser, and yes, I thought my husband was the person who could love me. I have discovered I love myself first. Good for you, sweetheart. Good for you. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Legine. I'm happy you're here. Christina, yes, it's a relationship on and off, and now he says I'm a narcissist and he is the victim. I'm not close to my sisters and always throws that in my face because he knows that they hurt me. Oh, girl. Mm, 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 mm. I swear I'm going to do this. I swear I'm going to write the playbook. I'm going to, I want to write the narcissist playbook. Christina, stand on this. My parental figures were my first abusers. I have no relationship with them. I have another family member who was the one who did sex things to me when I was a child. You know what I mean? I have no relationship with them. And knowing these things, the abuser used to tell me, it's not my fault that you don't have any relationship with your family and your family doesn't like you. It's laughable now. Again, Christina, I set boundaries to not have these people in my life. And the abusers don't like boundaries. Because boundaries show them that this part of my life you can't manipulate. And oh, that drives them crazy. They need control over every aspect of your life. They need you to be just a silent little robot who does what you're told, thinks what you're supposed to think, acts the way you're supposed to act, behaves the way you're supposed to behave. Honey. It's just control and manipulation. And they all do it. Still sick. Just can't quite get all the way better. I assure you, Christina, I'm not laughing at you, sweetheart. I completely get it. Hold on. I lost track. Sela, yeah, I went through that entire. You just need to accept that this is just the way it is. Yep. Thank you, Lucine. Okay. May I recommend, Denise, may I recommend a book to help in this subject? I'm currently reading it. Sure, sweetie. I would love to have a recommendation. And always, like anything that we can share with each other. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but go back on the page. There's actually a book that I'm promoting right now for one of our followers here. It's called See You Later. I've made several videos of it. The author, Natalie, she is reading in the video. Um, and I'm doing that simply because it's another survivor whose voice needs to be heard. And I believe we have to all stand up and speak out. And I believe it takes a village. And like, I am completely, completely committed to supporting other voices that are out there. I'm not charging her a dime. I don't care. I don't want anything from it. I want other people to hear her story. And that's why we also do the call to actions where, hey, if you want to share your story, we will share it for you, whether it be on video, whether it be in writing, whether it be anonymously. I don't care what it is. Like, the more voices that we have that speak up and speak out, the more people we can reach, the more people who know that they're not alone, the more lives that we can possibly save. Sela, what are the social media platforms? Um, I am on YouTube, I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, and I am on TikTok, and all of them are unbreakable and uplifting. Thank you, Tammy. Big hearts to you too, sweetie. Sela, I own a small publishing company. I'm willing to help anyone who wants to write their story and publish their book. I can help edit for them. That's awesome, Sela. Denise, if you want to share the recommendation on that book, go ahead and drop it in the comments, honey. Y'all, I wanted you to know that on every one of my posts on here on Facebook, there is a send message feature. I read all of my messages. If you ever want to send a message, it's important that you continue listening to other survivor stories. It's important that you continue to keep reminding yourself that you're not alone. And I know how hard that is. But the more that you interact with other survivors and victims, the more that you read other stories or listen to other stories, like the more you will really understand that you are not alone and you're not crazy. And those are my two mantras that I'm consistent with across this page, because those are the two things that I felt the most when I got out. Thank you, Denise. You are not alone, and you are not crazy. You're a victim. You're a survivor. And you are unbreakable. Y'all have a good day.